As the real wife stands at the casket, the second widow walks in with her kids. The funeral director realizes 2 death certificates request forms have been filed. The real wife, instead of breaking down, calmly asks the priest to pause the service and reads out loud a letter she found in her husband's desk, addressed to the other woman, dated last week. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Let's start. Maureen's hand was still on the casket when Rick leaned in and whispered, "We have a problem." She didn't look at him. "My husband is dead, Rick. Everything is a problem right now." 2 forms came in for the death certificate. 2 different women claiming to be his wife. Maureen's hand froze midair. "What did you say?" Before Rick could answer, the chapel doors opened. A woman Maureen had never seen walked in. Black dress, composed, holding the hand of a teenage boy. A younger girl trailed behind, eyes red from crying. Jenna grabbed her mother's arm. "Mom, who is that?" The woman didn't hesitate. She walked straight up the aisle, past the rows of David's co-workers and church friends, straight to the casket, like she'd done it 100 times before. She looked at Maureen, not with hostility, with confusion. "I'm sorry," she said, "but you need to step back. I'm his wife." The chapel went silent enough to hear the air conditioning hum. Maureen almost laughed. "Excuse me?" "David Hale, my husband." The woman's voice cracked slightly. "These are our children." Jenna's face went white. "Mom, she's lying. Tell her she's lying." But Maureen wasn't looking at Jenna anymore. She was looking at the boy, 16 maybe, who had David's exact jawline, the same one Jenna had. Pastor Whitfield stood frozen at the pulpit, Bible still open in his hands, unsure whether to speak or disappear. Rick took a step closer, voice low. "Maureen, the insurance forms, the certificate requests, they both have his name, his social, 2 separate filings, same day." Maureen felt something small and cold settle into her chest. Not grief, something sharper. She reached into her handbag, the same one she'd been carrying since the morning she found the letter in David's desk drawer, tucked behind his tax files. She hadn't told anyone about it. Not Jenna. Not the lawyer. She'd been waiting for the right moment. She hadn't expected the moment to arrive dressed in black, holding 2 children who didn't know they'd just walked into the wrong funeral. Or the right one, depending on how you looked at it. Maureen turned to Pastor Whitfield. "Stop the service." "Maureen, stop it. I have something to read before we put him in the ground." The woman in black stared at her. "Read what?" Maureen finally looked her dead in the eye. "A letter your husband wrote. To you. Dated last week." The woman's face changed. The woman's mouth opened, but nothing came out. Maureen unfolded the paper slowly, her hand steady in a way that surprised even her. 30 years of nursing had taught her how to stay calm while everything fell apart around her. This was no different. "His name is David Hale," Maureen said, loud enough for the whole chapel to hear. 58 Winslow Court is our home. We've been married 30 years. She looked at the woman. "What's your name?" "Denise." Her voice barely made it out. "Denise Carver." "Well, Denise." Maureen unfolded the letter fully. "Let's find out what my husband told you." She began to read. "Denise, I know I keep saying, soon. I know you're tired of hearing it. But I mean it this time. I'm going to finally end things with Maureen. I've already started moving money, so she won't be left with nothing. But I need a few more weeks before I tell her. I don't want you to think I'm choosing her. I'm choosing you. I've always been choosing you." Maureen's voice didn't shake once. Denise's hand flew to her mouth. "That's not... He told me you two were already divorced. Years ago. He said you kept the house because of the kids." "We were never divorced," Maureen said flatly. "Not on paper. Not anywhere." Tyler, the boy, spoke up for the first time, voice cracking. "Mom? What is she talking about?" Denise didn't answer. She was staring at the letter like it might rearrange itself into something that made sense. Rick cleared his throat gently, stepping between the two women, like a referee who already knew the fight was lost. "There's something else. I probably shouldn't say this here, but you're both going to find out in an hour anyway." He glanced at his clipboard. "The life insurance policy. You're both listed as primary beneficiary." Silence. Mia, the younger girl, started crying harder, and Jenna, despite everything, moved toward her without thinking, some instinct in her refusing to let a scared 13-year-old stand alone, even in the wreckage of her father's lies. Denise looked back at Maureen, and for the first time, the hostility in her face cracked into something else, something closer to horror. "He told me he loved me," she whispered. "He told me you didn't understand him anymore." Maureen folded the letter back up. "He told me the exact same thing about you people 20 years ago. Different woman. Different lie. Same man." Denise's knees buckled slightly. Tyler caught her arm. Pastor Whitfield finally found his voice. "Should I continue the service?" "No," Maureen said, turning back to the casket. "Not yet, because, apparently, there's a lot more to bury here than just him." Rick's phone buzzed in his hand. He glanced at it, then froze. "Maureen, it's the insurance company. They need to speak to you both. Right now. Something about the policy being flagged for review this morning, before he even died." The funeral home's back office wasn't built for this. 2 folding chairs, a desk, a box of tissues nobody had touched. Maureen sat on one side, Denise on the other. Jenna stood behind her mother, arms crossed, eyes locked on Denise like she was a threat that hadn't finished revealing itself. The insurance rep's voice came through Rick's phone on speaker. "The policy was flagged this morning because our fraud department caught 2 active beneficiary claims tied to the same policy number. That doesn't happen by accident. Someone updated the paperwork recently." "Recently, how recently?" Maureen asked. 8 days ago." Maureen's jaw tightened. 8 days ago was 3 days before David died. Denise's voice was small. "I didn't update anything. I didn't even know there was a policy." "Neither did I," Maureen said. "Which means he did it himself." Jenna leaned down to her mother's ear. "Mom, I pulled up his laptop this morning to get his passwords for the funeral home. There's a folder. Financial stuff. I didn't look through it. I didn't think I needed to." "Look through it now," Maureen said. 20 minutes later, in the parking lot, Jenna sat in the back of Maureen's car, with the laptop open, scrolling. Her face went pale. "Mom, there's an account. Chase, ending in 4471. It's been active for 6 years. Deposits every month. 2,000, 2,500, sometimes more." She looked up. "It's been paying for something. Rent, maybe. School stuff." Maureen didn't need her to finish. "He was funding a whole second household for 6 years." Denise, standing outside the car with Tyler and Mia waiting by her own vehicle, overheard enough of it through the open window. She walked over slowly. 6 years, she repeated. "He told me too. He lied to both of us about the timeline of his own life," Maureen said. "Why would the money be any different?" Denise's composure, which had been cracking since the chapel, finally gave way. "I have a mortgage in my name because he said his credit was bad from the divorce. I have 2 kids who think their father was a good man. I don't even know what's real anymore." Maureen almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Jenna kept scrolling, then stopped hard. Mom, there's more. 3 days before he died, he moved $18,000 out of your joint retirement account into an account I don't recognize. Maureen's stomach turned. Where did it go? Jenna clicked through 2 more screens, then looked up, unsettled. It went to his business partner, Carl. Carl Denton's office was exactly as Maureen remembered it. Same cheap motivational posters, same smell of stale coffee. He looked up when she walked in unannounced, Jenna a step behind her, and his face did something Maureen had spent 30 years learning to read on David. Guilt. Maureen, God, I'm so sorry about David. $18,000, Maureen said, cutting him off. 3 days before he died. From our retirement account. Into yours. Carl's mouth opened, closed. That was a loan repayment. He borrowed against the business last year. I was just, don't. Maureen set her purse down on his desk, like she was settling in for a while. I've had 2 women's worth of lies today already. I don't have room for a third. Jenna stepped forward, phone in hand. We have the transaction records, Carl. We have the dates. What we don't have is why. Carl sat down slowly, like his legs had stopped negotiating with the rest of him. He was scared, he finally said. Okay? He was scared. I found out about Denise 2 months ago. By accident, I saw a text on his phone when he left it at the office. I told him he had 30 days to tell you himself, or I would. Maureen felt the room tilt slightly. You knew. For 2 months you knew, and you let me plan a 30th anniversary dinner with him. I told him to fix it, Maureen. I told him if he didn't come clean, I'd tell you myself. 8 days ago, I gave him a final deadline. That's when he changed the insurance policy. I think he panicked and tried to cover himself no matter which way it went. The money he sent me wasn't a payoff. It was him asking me to help him disappear. New accounts. Maybe a way to leave both of you and start over somewhere else. So he was going to run, Jenna said flatly. I think so. And 3 days after I gave him that deadline, he had the heart attack. Carl's voice dropped. I've spent every day since wondering if I killed him by pushing. Maureen sat with that for a moment and found, to her own surprise, that she didn't feel sympathy for Carl or guilt on his behalf. She felt something colder, the sense of a man who'd rather help his friend flee than help 2 women learn the truth like adults. You could have called me the day you found out, she said quietly. 1 phone call, Carl. That's all it would have taken. Carl had no answer for that. Her phone buzzed. A text from Denise. I need to show you something. David sent it to me the night before he died. I think you need to see it too. Maureen looked at Jenna. It's a video. They met at a coffee shop this time. Neutral ground. Away from the funeral home. Away from Carl's guilt-soaked office. Denise slid her phone across the table without a word. Tyler and Mia weren't there this time. She'd left them with her sister. Some things, she'd said, kids shouldn't have to watch twice. Maureen pressed play. David's face filled the screen. Tired, a little pale, sitting in his truck in what looked like a parking lot. His voice was quieter than Maureen had heard it in years. Denise, if you're watching this, it means I chickened out of saying it to your face again. Carl's given me a deadline. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to choose between you and Maureen. And the truth is, he paused, rubbing his face. I don't think I ever wanted to choose. I wanted both. I know how that sounds. I know it's not fair to either of you. I built a whole life split in half, and I don't know how to stop being 2 different men. The video ended there. 41 seconds. Denise's hands were shaking around her coffee cup. He sent that to me at 11:40 at night. I thought it meant he was finally going to pick me. I didn't understand until right now that it meant he wasn't going to pick anyone. Maureen slid the phone back across the table. 30 years, and I don't think I ever really knew him either. For a long moment, neither woman spoke. Then Denise said quietly, I keep waiting to hate you. It would be easier than this. I keep waiting to hate you too, Maureen admitted. But you didn't do this to me. He did. You're just the woman he did it to at the same time. Denise let out a broken laugh that wasn't really a laugh. Some pillar of the community he was. Deacon at his church. Coached Tyler's baseball team. Everyone in town thinks he was a saint. Something settled into place behind Maureen's eyes. Not rage, exactly. Clarity. Then everyone in town should know the truth, she said. Not for revenge, because I'm done being the only one carrying it. Jenna, sitting beside her mother, looked between the two women. The community forum, church newsletter, his old clients. If people knew half of what we know, they'll know all of it, Maureen said. Denise hesitated, then nodded slowly. My kids are going to hate hearing it, but they're going to hate it more if they grow up thinking their father was a hero and someone else's kid tells them different first. By the next morning, Maureen had written 3 sentences to the church council and 1 email to David's largest contracting client. She hadn't even sent them yet when her phone started buzzing. A former neighbor. Then David's old business associate. Then a woman from church Maureen barely knew. Each message started the same way. I think I knew something. I should have said something. I'm so sorry. By Thursday, David Hale's name had stopped being spoken with sympathy and started being spoken in whispers behind hands at the grocery store. The church council quietly pulled his photo from the deacon board. 2 of his biggest contracting clients canceled ongoing jobs, citing personal reasons that everyone understood without being told. A woman from the neighborhood, Pam Whitcomb, called Maureen in tears to confess she'd seen David's truck outside a house on Larkspur Lane for 3 years and said nothing because it wasn't my business to say. It was everyone's business, Maureen told her, and hung up. The lawyers took longer to untangle than the town's gossip did. Because David and Denise's marriage certificate turned out to be real on paper, but void in law, bigamy voided it instantly. Denise had no legal claim to the estate. She could have fought it. She didn't. Instead, she called Maureen directly. I don't want your house. I don't want a war that drags my kids through court for 2 more years. I just want enough that Tyler and Mia don't lose their home over a lie their father told. Maureen sat with that for a full day before answering. Then she called her lawyer and carved out a settlement, not because David deserved for his second family to be protected, but because 2 kids who'd done nothing wrong shouldn't inherit the wreckage of his choices. This isn't about him, Maureen told Jenna when her daughter questioned it. It's about making sure the innocent people in this don't drown along with him. By the time the estate was settled, David's contracting business had lost half its client list. The man who'd spent decades building a reputation as reliable, honest, a family man, had become, in a matter of weeks, a cautionary tale parents told their daughters about men who seemed too good. Maureen went to the grave alone, 3 weeks after the funeral that never properly finished. No flowers, no tears rehearsed for an audience. You almost got away with it, she said to the headstone. Right up until the very end. And you know what the worst part is? You didn't even do it well. 6 years, 2 families, and you still couldn't figure out how to be honest with either one of us. She stood there a moment longer, feeling something she hadn't expected. Not grief, not even rage anymore. Just quiet. I hope wherever you are, you're finally only one person, she said, because you never managed it here. She turned and walked back to her car, without looking back, and for the first time in longer than she could remember, The air felt like it belonged to her again.